kick off the portfolio review. Welcome to stage, sir.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, sir.
All right. Todd, you just let me know where you want me to direct the art. You can see it, right?
I can. Let me see. How do I open this? Okay, there, I got it big. Okay.
So here's the first piece. Those are the 5 pieces he submitted.
Okay. So I don't know. How should I refer to you? How should I refer to you, sir, or how should I refer to you?
Jordan. Just Jordan.
Jordan. Okay. Jordan. All right. Let's look him over here. So lots of nice stuff. Lots of nice stuff. So the first couple questions, Jordan. You what? Penciled, ink, colored? Is this all your work?
Yeah.
Okay. So one of the things I've said forever is that when you're doing something like this, make sure that when you do your pencils, you take either a copy of it or a screen grab. I don't know how you're actually doing all this, but make sure you got a copy of your pencils, and then when you ink it, then take a copy of the inks, and then when you color it, then put the colors up there. And the reason for that simply is that if you're not proficient as a professional penciler, inker, and colorist all in the same day, which is asking a lot from an artist, right? It's like being a pro sports person and saying, hey, you got to be proficient at 3 positions on the same day. Then what might give you a bit of the edge is that somebody will potentially say, oh my God, I really like your pencils. Your inks need a little bit of work. But while you're working on your inks, we think you're proficient enough in the penciling. We'll get a professional inker on top of you. You can practice your inking all you want, right? And then, and we'll get somebody to color, or vice versa. I think you're really good at inking. We don't like your drawing. How would you like to ink somebody or whatever? But that way, if you break it down, you're basically giving yourself 4 cracks at it. 1 as a penciler, 2 as an inker, 3 as a colorist, and then 4 has the collective whole, which is what you're showing me, right? And there's a little bit, Jordan, of beggars and choosers, right? That I don't. To me, when I was trying to break in, I was like, I would have taken any one of those 4, because you're in the game, and the whole gig is just trying to get on the field and in the business, and then go, and then it becomes sort of on your shoulders now that you're in there. But anyways, and that's not true for you. That's true for anybody I've ever really talked to for 20 years, and any of the other people I'm going to be looking at their artwork. I would say the exact same thing. Give yourself 4 cracks at it instead of 1. So in this, if we go just, can you zoom in on that just a little bit? So I'm just looking at the drawing. So one of the things that I would say on here that's catching my eye, just there's sort of a couple of things. One, and this is just a geeky thing that we can talk about a little bit, and because I've seen stuff, and oddly, I had this exact same comment to Ryan Stegman once. He showed me a Venom drawing. It was really cool, and it was a lot of detail. But the comment to him, which is what I'm going to say to you, is in my mind, Venom's black, right? And I when I look at Venom, I want, and maybe it's my personal bias, but I want to instantly know he's black. Black costume with highlights on the blue or the navy, or in this case, the neon and all that other stuff. To me, he should still be black, right? Like at first blush, if I was to make him 2 inches tall now to show him to your next door and say, hey, what color is this character? Right? I think most people would say, your drawing would say blue, when to me, I think he's a black character, right? In terms of his. So sometimes we can get a little bit cute with trying to do a little bit too much anatomy and all those other things. I run into it sometimes when I do Spawn, and then I just go, man, when I just put a bunch of costume, it looks way cooler. Because there's not that many people that have a lot of. Anyway, make sure that what each one of the characters are, because again, if he's going to who isn't black in terms of his costume and or some other character, contrast again, black's a really strong compositional color. So when you can take advantage of it, when the Black Panther, the Spawn, Venom, the characters of that ilk, that Batman, that have a lot of black in it, right? Take advantage of the color. Now, in the draw of it, I think you're overdoing what I would call bang cam. So you're trying to show all the striations of them, which is okay in certain places, but you have it like on his shoulder. That's his left shoulder over there. But then it also is, if you go down to the bicep, there's striation that's in there, and then you're accenting it with the blue, right? And maybe, oddly enough, some of this could be cured by just sort of erasing some of your orange and blue highlights. So there's not as much sort of detailed, if you will, on every single piece of the body. Look at his right forearm, right? See the stuff that's in there? I get it. And again, he's a veiny, sort of muscly guy, and it's super cool. The problem is that because you've got all the veiny over there, and then you've got the veiny in his clavicle. Oh, that one what?
Something's having the audio cut.
They're saying that my audio is going in and out. Is this any better?
Yeah, that sounds a little better. Yeah, you were cutting in and out just on a few key points.
Oh, okay. So his right forearm is kind of veiny, which it is, because just who Venom is. But you've got sort of those orange highlights that kind of sort of look like the orange highlight up in his shoulder and his clavicle and his leg and his back leg, even to some extent the other hand and whatever. There's just a little bit too much repetition in terms of the way you're highlighting him, right? I again, think about it, Jordan, as like whatever word you want to give it to yourself, but let's just call it big, small, big, medium, and small, right? So 3 different buckets, right? So what parts of the body do you want to be big? What do you want to be medium? What do you want to be small? And I'm talking in terms of like the highlight on, right? So if and again, it's too bad I can't do this in live action, because if I came in there and I got rid of a couple of those orange lines on his right forearm there, the veiny ones, it would give more on his right, on Venom's right. Yeah.
That's what you're
right.
saying,
Yeah.
Makes
So
sense.
yeah, so see those ones that are like right in the middle. Like I don't know who's got the mouse there, but the ones that are right in the middle, right in there, those ones right there. See those ones right there, right? If you didn't do those, then the arm would feel like thicker, instead of it being like a bunch of sort of ribby stuff, right? Little tiny stuff. I mean, he's a massive guy. Make him massive, right? I again, in the chest where the collarbone is. See, if you go up to the collarbone, see how you got the orange there? That's nice, right? Because we have a collarbone. Then below the collarbone, in the chest area, right? Go to the collarbone. Okay, and then now go down just a little bit, slightly down. That area right there, you're now banding it so that it feels like, to me, instead of a big, strong chest like Arnold Schwarzenegger or something like that, you're giving so much striation to it, it feels like 3 or 4 collarbones, right? So this is that sort of small, medium, large. Make the collarbone sort of the thin bone, and then make the chest feel a little more massive. And because the more you chop stuff up, then the more it all feels the same, right? So if you look at, again, now if you go down to like his abs, his six pack, right? You got like little muscle, little muscle, little muscle, and then off to the side. And I get it, anatomy wise, if I was to strip the skin off somebody, those are what the muscles look like. But we don't have to be that particular with it. You can soften some of those so that it does. Like if you simplified like around his love handles, whatever you want to call those, right? His hips. If you simplified that and didn't make it so that it's like 3 or 4 or 5 pods, then and you open that up, it would then make the smaller 6-pack seem more impressive, right? But I'm losing the 6-pack because everything feels like a 6-pack wrapping all the way around him. So you're not drawing my attention to sort of the strength of him and the core of him, right? And if we use that Jordan like in the leg that's going back, which would be his left leg, that a lot of those pods, especially the ones in the upper leg, there's like 3, 4, 5, there some of those are like about the exact same size, right? And again, trying to create a little bit of variety, right? You just go, I'm gonna make some of them. And again, I would that orange that you have right in the middle of the thigh, right above the knee, I would get rid of some of this extra highlighting to make him feel bulky, right? To make him feel bulkier than he is. But I like the striation in the mouth. It's a hell of a mouth. It's a hell of a face, actually. And then the neck, because that's where it should be, right? Maybe again a little bit in the gut and a little bit in the hands, and then I'd make them just a little more bulkier. I just eliminate some of your colors there a little bit of your inking in some of the places, and just make them thick. Like your bicep that you have there, your left bicep. I could argue I'd get rid of all 3 of those blue lines that are in the middle there, and probably a couple of the little tiny orange ones, and that would pop his bicep, and it would feel like a big, strong bicep. But anyway, otherwise there's lots of cool there. I like what you did with the tongue and the green on the tongue. It feels like it's in motion. So good on you on that. The other thing on the coloring, that given that he's got one leg coming forward and one leg going back, you've sort of hit all of it with the same intensity. And so to me, I would probably bury the back leg, especially in the thigh area, like maybe a little darker, so it felt like it was in the shadows a little bit, kind of like what you got there for his groin area. And then it would move the other leg forward, and it would push the other leg back. By making them kind of sort of the same color, then it has a tendency to flatten those two instead of making it feel like it's being pushed back, which is the way you drew it and the way that you intended it. But I think Jordan, in all honesty, if you look at your drawing at 2 inches tall, there's a lot to like instantly like. And then as soon as you get bigger and bigger and bigger, then to me, hopefully, then you'll start to see a little bit of the repetition, right? Just give me the small, medium, and large pieces. So let's go to the next one and see what else we got. All right. So let's go to Storm here. Nice job. I'm a big fan of textures, so nice job on the background. All right. I'm always bugging my colorist to just go, guys, just give me a texture, right? Brick walls are not brand new red. They've been out in the elements. They've been buildings in New York have been in the weather for 100 years. Like it's all sort of grungy and stuff. So I like it. I like it when people sort of color and then they sort of come in and then they add a bit of a texture that feels like it's a little bit dirty. The other thing it does, which is sort of nice, is that it then gives you a nice contrast to like the lightning bolts on Storm and her figure, right? So now if I look at like Storm's leg, let's say her left leg there, actually both of them, but her left leg even more so, her thigh, you didn't really do a lot of rendering on it. And I think that's smart because you've got a lot of rendering with the texture behind it. So if you let the color sort of be your friend, then you can go, oh, I'm going to get some cool detail in the clouds or whatever it is. And then I don't have to worry that I've got to overly noodle everything on the body, which is okay. Drawing wise, you've got the body now at a 3/4, which is a nice drawing. You've got her head at a 3/4. And then you've got the thigh and the knee is at a 3/4. And then it appears to me that her foot on her left leg is at a profile, right? Because I mean, if you put your finger over the heel, like in a weird way, if you eliminate that heel, if you were to literally eliminate that heel, it would look like the foot is coming towards me, which is what the rest of her body is doing, and there'd be more consistency with it. I don't know, Jordan, if you can see that on the screen.
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, so but like just put your finger literally just over the heel, like up to the buckle, right? And all of a sudden it reads like that toe is coming towards me a little bit more. But because I can see the heel, my eye wants to turn the foot sideways, right? Because that's usually when you can see a heel. So sometimes there's just one or two things on your figure that you just, when you're done with it, to just go, are they all following the same rule, right? I mean, if you're doing something like Spider-Man, he's in the goofy pose, then obviously the answer is no, he's supposed to be all contorted. She's not. She's pretty elegant with it. That's in there. Her chest and her six pack, right? I'm a big fan of, and I think we're going to see it later. I think there's another female one. I'm a big fan that the ladies should be a lot less muscly than the dudes, right? We don't have to show them off. They should be elegant. They should be strong. You'd be like swimmers, Olympic swimmers and Olympic gymnasts, that, strong bodies without being quote unquote ripped, right? Unless you're She-Hulk or something. So I think, again, if you right where you've got the connection of the rib cage and her abs, you've got a little bit of a sort of a dark shadow there to separate them. I wouldn't have worried about that. I would have ran all that sort of kind of together and just gotten a little bit of separation with your inking, right? A couple of ink lines will give you enough. I mean, you did it a little bit like in her crotch where she's bending her right leg where you get a couple wrinkles. So you got a couple lines there. It's fine. That's all you need. And then the other leg where you got like a little bit of a muscle. Okay, that's fine. You could dial that back. And like I said, if I was doing this on screen, I would just come in here with a little bit of white and I would just go, even some of the spacing between the sort of the shadowing between the two breasts, right? Unless there's a strap. Is there a strap between there? Maybe that's it. I can't see. So if there's a strap there, then
Right here?
Oh yeah. Okay, there you go. Okay. No, I was looking at like it seems weird, but I was looking at her breast. But she does have a strap between the two. Okay. Because when it was small on my screen, it looks like there's something between the two because it's cool. She's there's a lot going on with her. So her jacket, you did it on the inside of it. You got the black there. I would make that jacket like more black. Why? Because you got so much detail on the hair and so much detail in like her stocking gloves or whatever you want to call those, and all detail on the belt. At times you have to give eye to the reader a little bit to just breathe so that everything isn't just like, oh my gosh, I don't even know where to land my eye, right? So if you have the detail of the head and by the jacket, and then you've got a little bit of detail on the chest, and you go to a lot of detail in the waist, and then you open it up in the legs, then you're going in and out of the detail, and my eyes sort of just cover her in a nice spot. Like right now that shot, Jordan, if you look at her from about the collarbones up in her two arms, there's a lot there between her hair and her arms and the lightning and everything else. There's a lot there to like, right? So you can just relax a little bit on some of the other parts on her because there's so much other stuff, especially in the rib cage and stuff like that. So okay, let's see what the next one is. Wolverine, there he is. Okay, so Wolverine, when I first saw this, this one was, again, let's just go back and let me touch a couple of some of the banding that I was talking about with Venom. I think there's some here too, right? We've got the chest, we've got the rib cage, we've got a lot happening, in the abs, sort of the rib, what do you call it? The love handles at the waist and stuff like that. You even got some banding down on his right leg below the knee, right? Below the knee, there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, right? There's like 4 pieces that are kind of sort of the same. And what you don't want is you don't want the shin to feel like striations in the neck. So when I saw this at first blush, I thought that his torso was a little bit long. And the reason is because he's leaning forward. So if you start leaning forward, then you can hide. It's just the perspective, right? You get the head, you hide most of the neck, you got some of the chest, you barely see a little bit of the rib cage, and then you little bit of the stomach muscles, right? So I think here's the trick here. If this is on Jordan or anybody else, put your thumb over his head, right? Put your thumb over the head and just keep your thumb on his head for about 4 or 5 seconds. And then look at the body and then mentally just go, where do I think the head is? He looks like, when I cover his head, he looks like he's standing up a lot more, right? And then when I take my thumb away, it seems like inconsistent to me because my brain, it's weird that I don't care whether you're an artist or not, your brain will actually sort of put stuff in the right place, right? So, and I don't know if it's happening to you, but like if you cover it for 4 or 5 seconds and sort of don't think about it and then pull it away, it doesn't seem like it's in the right spot.
Yeah,
right?
I see what you mean. It seems like it should be standing up more if you do that.
It should be over to the right a little bit, and it should probably, for 2 reasons. If he's looking at me, that means his chest is going one direction, his head's going the other, which is fine. You can do that. That like basketball players do it all the time. But if it's turning towards me, then do it yourself. Turn and look to the person next to you. Your head is going to get way closer to your shoulder on that side, right? And he's sort of turning towards me, but his chin is a long ways away from his shoulder on that's got the arrow on it, right? His shoulder. It should be a lot closer. So if Photoshop, these things would be just you cut it and you sort of move it over and you go, there it is, boom, done, right? Like I think if you see videos of some artists, especially those that do use computers, moving arms and heads around because they go, shit, I didn't nail it the first time, right? I don't know how you draw, Jordan, but the rule that I was taught is you put the head on last, right? Get the body, and then once you got the body, then it kind of, at least for me, it was always easier to then place the head. You go, oh, I have all these reference points of the body to go, no, the head should go here. I found if I did the opposite, and I tried to like start with the head and then glue an entire 6-foot body to it, I got off track a little bit more. But anyways, that's just a little tip. What else we got there? So, Gemini palette. Okay, so this is a nice drawing. This is a nice. The drawing of her is excellent. She's a very attractive woman. The bad guy or whatever behind her, the beast, is kind of cool. That's all in shadows. Jordan, I probably would like this better in black and white, oddly enough, because I would then paint the color in my brain. What my biggest sort of comment on this is that the figure of the female figure is so well done, and the other drawing of the guy behind is so well done. But if you shrink this now to like 2 inches, Rem, or wherever, if you shrink this drawing like at that size, things start to get confusing, right? Now look at your Wolverine. There's nothing confusing about Wolverine up there, right? You got a background, you got Wolverine, and you got the rocks. I mean, it's a way more simpler drawn, but I'm not losing anything on it. Where this one, as beautiful as this drawing is, and there's very little wrong with that drawing. I think that your coloring sort of did you a disservice. What should happen, even at that size, is that I shouldn't lose the blue lady. The blue lady should still be my focal point, right? Which just means you just got to add a little bit. Don't get too cute on the highlight on it. And then the hands on that guy, I should, because they're coming forward. I should want to see the hands so I can see the danger of the guys about to grab her, and then you could dial down all the magic a little bit so that I completely see the woman and the bad guy back there. But like I said, I bet you in black and white, this is a dazzling piece here. I mean, it's nice right now. It just again, I think you're just getting a little aggressive on your colors at times, right? Just like easy. You don't have to, everything doesn't have to have a special lighting effect on it. It's okay. So, what's your last one? Yeah. So this is, so this one's cool. The proportions look pretty good right out of the gate. I like it. One of the things I try to get my colors to do, and they still get it wrong a lot of times, is I go, her costume's red and her hair is orange, right? So they don't feel like the hair and the costume don't feel kind of in the same zone, right? Like push it orange and push it red, so that you get the two of them. The only comment I would make on this one would be that probably, to my eye, the head's a little bit tall, right? If I had Photoshop, I'd come down just a smidge on it. Just a smidge on it. But the biggest thing is she's pretty muscular, right? Some of the stuff you got in the thighs and the rib cage and the abs and stuff like that, just soften her up, right? Because you got all these cool lines, especially with all the magic around here, and you got all these cool lines with the bullets. the bullet belts, and you've got the spear. I mean, there's just a lot of cool stuff on her. You did a nice job on the chains, right? But if you softened her up, then she would be, as I'm talking about, sort of like big, medium, and small. Then she'd have lots of pieces on her body that would be quote unquote the big pieces, because there's so much small, fine detail everywhere else. She would jut out a little bit. So make the spear have all the little noodling on it. Don't worry if like her love handles and her waist has all those things, because it takes away from the cool detail that you have on the on the weapon there. But overall, I like, given that you're doing penciling, inking, and coloring. You like, there's sometimes I'm going, man, I really like the color, and I go, the inking a little bit, and other times I'm going, oh man, I like the inking and like the but I like, so there's good moments on each of those areas. So I don't know if you have a passion on one over the other, but the problem with trying to be good at three positions is that you're dividing your time at each one of those things. So if you were going to spend 3 hours, instead of doing 3 hours of penciling, you're doing 1 hour penciling, 1 hour inking, 1 hour coloring. You're only doing 1 hour of each, right? So it might behoove you for even a week to just focus on one of them. Just go, I'm just gonna grab somebody else's art and color it. I don't want to waste time doing the drawing. I'm just gonna color somebody else's art. Or I'm just going to do penciling, and I'm not going to worry whether I color it, or I'm not going to worry whether I ink it. I'm just going to, because I want to get as many hours and as many reps and much repetitive sort of stroke in over the course of a week, or something like that. But anyway, you got any questions for me, Jordan, before I let you get?
Yeah, my main question was, like, most of my work is in doing album art. That's why, for bands, that's why I do all three, because they need a color.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. I could see some of that.
So what I've been trying to do is to break into doing comic books. So what would you say would be a good next step to start practicing on? Because I talked with Tom, me and Thomas Healy are buds, and he gives me some pointers here. I've been trying to work on storytelling in my images. If you had to pick on one thing, besides the one thing I took away from your critiques was to maybe chill out and take it easy on some things. That's exactly it. That would be my number one comment. Just, you got a lot going. Just relax. Just stop overthinking that. Right. So. Okay. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah. All right. Thanks.
Thanks for coming up, Jordan.
Thank
you.
You.
All right. On deck, we got Creative Faye.
Creative Faye.
Stop streaming.
Go.
Get that portfolio. Welcome to stage, Creative Faye. I don't know if you've met.
Hello.
Hello. How are you doing?
Good. Nice to meet you.
Thanks for coming today.
All right. Can you see that?
I can.
Can you see that? Cool.
All right. So,
you want me to briefly go through them, or?
Yeah, let's just start here, and then we can go through them all, right? Real quickly. So, this is actually a good example of. I don't know. I'm getting an echo, but anyway, this is a good example of having, and I'm going to mostly talk about inking at this point, Faye, if you don't mind. What the skill is that you want to get to on inking, that I've said before, is that you want to have like a Rolodex. I don't even know if you guys know what that word means. You guys know what that means? I mean, like, dude, I'm aging myself. We used to keep all our phone numbers on this thing that we would turn, and it would have like hundreds and hundreds of phone numbers on it. But so in my mind, you just have this library of, I'll use that word. You got a library of ways to accomplish the same thing. So you have ground and you have buildings and you have wooden planks and you have clouds or whatever and fire or whatever. Like, so there's lots of stuff here. And to me, what has to happen is that you then need to treat each one of them has their own material, their own texture. And you can't, like in the inkers, it used to bother me when I first broke into the business. There was a lot of inkers and they used brushes. And they just would use the brush on everything. And to me, it got sort of repetitive. And it wasn't until a lot of guys started going into, crow quills and stuff like that, that you could get like these super big range of variety of lines, from super thin hairline to like big, thick lines. And you didn't have to treat everything the same because you had one brush in your hand. So what you want to do is, once you create, like, and I maybe you can see this yourself, Faye, at that size, and I don't know what you're looking at. So I'm looking at a laptop. So excuse me if anybody's looking at their phone. If what I'm looking at that picture, like small. I like to always start small, right? Because if things are clear at that size, they're going to be clear big, right? It's just that simple. I always shrink my stuff and go, can I see what I want to see? And so if you look at the bottom panel, right, as compared to the top panel, right? So the top panel, I can quickly see it looks like a door, it looks like some stones, and then there's a building, and then there's, I don't know, like a moat or a ridge or a ledge or something around it. And then something's happening on the ground there. I'd have to zoom in or whatever. But at least I can sort of get that clarity there. But if I go down to the smaller size and look at your bottom panel, I get confused a little bit more, Faye. And the reason is, if you go smaller, is because a lot of the stuff and a lot of the line weight at the bottom going into the middle and then sort of spreading a little bit left and right, and even the chunks of black, right? Look at your chunks of black that you've got there. There's not one chunk of black on that whole panel that's dominant, right? They're all kind of sort of about the same size, right? If I was doing a circle, I could circle like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I could circle 8 of about 10 of your blacks, and they're kind of about the same size, right? Considering that the one on the bottom left, I would circle it twice because you got, looks like a head there or a shadow or something like that. So don't be afraid to let something be dominant. This is, again, going back to what I was saying with Jordan, like this is the big, the medium, and the small. Like cool. With the black, let there be a big black, let there be a middle black, and let there be a small black. What's big to me on this bottom panel is that door or whatever that is in the middle of the page. That's the big thing that I see. I'm going, cool, I see the big thing. And then I get into some of the other stuff. But given that some of the line work, now go a little bit closer on that bottom panel.
Man, this is not the same file format.
It's okay. Just scroll that up. Just scroll up on that side. That's good. Yeah, just scroll up. Can you scroll up on that?
No, every time I scroll, this switches the page.
Okay, well, let's just go to the top panel. Okay, so the top panel there.
It's a PDF.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. We can talk about other stuff. So we've got the top panel here, and then and here's where it gets a little bit weird. So we've got the door, and then we have the wooden planks like up over to the right in that panel, up next to the door, up high, right? Looks like log cabin a bit, right? But then you put all these little thin lines in the logs, and what happens is that those lines then run in a little bit too much to like what you're doing with the trees on the left that are supposed to be in the background. Now, I understand, Faye, that color is going to separate this stuff, right? But I'm always a believer in black and white. Don't hope that the color saves you, right? Because if they don't, and you haven't done your job right, then it just becomes what it ends up doing is it flattens the page, right? And the only thing that we have is to try and create depth, an illusion of depth, and three-dimensional, given that you're drawing on a flat piece of paper, which is two-dimensional. That's all we have. That's the magic that we have to try and convey. And so if you do like some thin lines, like up over in the top left there in the trees, then this is what I'm telling you, where you start to have a library. Then how do you do something that has lines in it for those wood, but it's not the same that you did up in that top left corner? I don't know what that is. That's an artistic choice, Faye, but you're just going to have to find it. You're going to go, oh, I've got three things that have thin lines on them in this panel. I have to figure out three different ways to do thin lines, right? So one of the easy tricks, one of them, maybe the thin lines are like bunched together a lot. Like you have a little bit in the spacing of the trees on the top left. And then when you get to the cracks of something that has thin lines, maybe you want to space those out so that there's a little bit more gap in between them, right? So you did a nice job of that on the thin lines that look like the edge of the ridge that's holding the house, right? So it looks like you did a nice spacing, especially on the right side there on the ledge. More so than on the left side of that ledge, but then some of the lines of the rocks going up underneath start to get about the same thickness. So, anyways, that's your goal, Faye. I'll give you the task. Just try and figure out, like, sometimes you got to go thick lines, thin lines, and medium lines, and then sometimes you bunch them together, sometimes you mix and match them, and you just figure out this weird combo, and you go, got it, right? Because what I should be able to do on a good day, I call it my 1 inch rule, as I should be able to take a piece of paper, cut out a 1 inch square out of it, move it around your page, and be able to kind of tell you what texture I'm looking at, right? It feels like a flower. It feels like an animal's fur. It feels like maybe leaves on a tree. It feels like a pile of wires. I mean, all of that in black and white can get confusing. But if somebody can look at your work and they don't have to even identify it, they just have to feel like that there were 6 different things in that panel, and then you're on the right track inking wise, because it's like, cool, they saw 6 different shapes, and that's going to give you your variety on your pages there. So, all right, let's see what else we got.
There's I think a little more than 5 on here. So if you want to scroll through oh wait, no, there is 5.
Okay. So go to the one, there was an ink one there for a second. No, keep going. No, that one. Good. This is a good one. All right. So, and it depends on what kind of stories you're telling. So every sort of story has its own style. But we draw normal comic books usually 10 by 15, right? And the piece of paper is 11 by 17. But the images are usually contained on 10 inches wide and 15 inches tall. I count, I think, let me see. $11 or 12 panels, right? That's a lot on a panel. And the reason that that's a lot, Faye, is the more panels you have on a page, then obviously the smaller they have to be. And the smaller the panels, then the smaller all your drawings have to be. And then what ends up happening, because everything's kind of small, then you start to get a little bit of repetition of like scale. Why? Because the panels are all kind of tiny. So if you look at, let's say, the figures in the bottom left, and then you look at the figure in the top right, kind of the same size. And then if I go to the next panel, like panel 3 there where he's walking, then that's kind of the same size too as the one that's in the top left and the one that's in the bottom, or top right, excuse me, and the one that's in the bottom left, right? I mean, again, not exact, but again, I could circle them and go, that figure, those two at the bottom, the one at the top. I got 4 figures that quickly are catching my eye as being kind of about the same-ish, right? And then it probably was intentional. You've got 2 panels there in the middle where the monster or whatever is coming up behind the boy. Those 2 figures are the same, which is okay because again, those are just sometimes choices you make with storytelling. But then the panel next to it, I would argue, although it's an adult, that figure's sort of kind of just a little bit bigger than that boy or the monster, right? And then in panel 1, you've got like another one that's sort of kind of in that zone a little bit, right? What you want to do with your camera as much as possible is to move it around and to go in close and then pull it back 10 feet and then go to the side and then drop it to the ground and do an upshot and then go back 50 feet and then go up into the sky and do a down shot and do that on one page, because then the camera is moving all over and it's really sort of interesting to look at. And the more variety you can have on a page, I think the more sort of interesting it is to look at those pages. Now, if you're doing fun, lighthearted, sort of cartoony stuff, then the rules don't quite apply. I'm sort of talking a little bit more sort of adult stuff and or superhero stuff, where you want to constantly be moving the camera as much as you can on the paper so you can get as much variety as possible. And if you're going to go in close, then go in close. There's, out of 11 panels here, Faye, there's no close-up of anything. And like the one, I think it's panel 1, 2, 3, 4. Panel 4, I think it's the one where it's like you've cropped the legs and the guy's walking. That one could have been a severe close-up of just a foot of the boot walking. That is like the boot would be bigger than any boot on that entire page, right? Cool. And then even the panel next to it, where you do have a close-up of that person, right? Don't be afraid to crop, bring the head in bigger and crop it so that you cut off a little bit of the top of the head, or you even cut off a little bit of his cheek on the right side, or sometimes you even crop it so you cut off a little bit of the chin or something like that. Don't be afraid of it, right? We call it, it's called a Hollywood haircut. And the reason it's called a Hollywood haircut is go watch a couple of your favorite movies, especially dramas, and watch how many times you actually see the entire head of the person talking on screen. They crop heads all day long, right? And the reason that cropping, like if you cropped his head, it would feel like he's closer to the camera then, instead of going, oh, because I've got right below that head, I've got 1, 2, 3 shots of people's heads, and I see all of their head. So it's like, create the variety and just push the camera in a little bit, right? And then on the shoe, go in, so all you see maybe is the heel and the toe squishing something in the ground or whatever, and the blades of grass are coming. All right, what else we got?
We got this piece and that piece.
Go back now to that last one. Okay, so Faye, some of the things we were just talking about, look at panel 3, 4, right? See the size of those 2 bodies, right? Again, and not only are they about the same size, they're both turned in the same direction, right? So I don't know, a little bit of variety at times.
All right.
Right? I think you can get it.
Yeah.
Panel 1 and 2, the character size in 1 and some of them, especially the leader in 2, kind of about the same size, which is kind of about the size of the figure in panel 3. That is the one that's behind, the second one in the middle there, right? So you don't want to be able to just go sort of circle, 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 and all of a sudden you got 4 characters on your page that are about the exact same. So you can get aggressive. You can get aggressive with your camera angles. So look, I think the guy, I've said it before, Greg Capullo, I think moves the camera as well as anybody in our industry, right? Like he rarely does any, like it's staggering to me if you're looking for it, if you look at some of his pages, how he'll have 5 panels and he'll have 5 dramatically different camera views in those 5 panels. And you just go, wow, that's like, man, like how's he even come up with it, right? And he does that for 20 pages sometimes. So there are lots of people you could take a look at in terms of like how, where they place cameras. So what else you got? Mm-hmm. So monsters are always fun. The only thing I'd say on that, I assume did you color this, Faye?
Yes, I colored it.
Okay. So the only thing I would say here, there's a little bit of what I was saying to Jordan there, is that the character, it's a cool monster. And then you have the monster looks like it's sort of attacking some green lady or something down below. But because she's so pale, her clothes and her body, and then you made the grass so pale, you don't really see the woman that's being attacked like instantly, right? And again, you want to see the victim. You got the monster. Like, what's the storytelling? The monster's got the lady. Okay, that's damsel in distress. Then that should, like, I should see that in a heartbeat, right? Mm-hmm. So if you had continued, oddly, if you had continued the color that you have in the background, that gray, and you continued down below that leg, and you had more gray coming down than the figure, more white, and you kept the same coloring on the monster and the same coloring on the figure, that by having a little bit of a darker background, then she would have popped like bam right now. So it's just contrast, finding your contrast. You got a nice contrast at the top between the red or whatever you want to call it, and the Silver Road, right? I mean, I can read that as thin as it is. I read Silver Road. Why? Because you chose 2 dramatically different colors. Mm-hmm. All right, what else we got?
This is the last page.
That was just to show rough pencils.
Yeah, no, it's fine. That's fine. So you got panel 1, some kind of explosion or close-up. I think those are good graphic moments. And then you've got a reaction, I assume, whatever that is. So I don't know if that's 3 panels or somebody's hiding around the corner, but let's just say it's 3 panels. Then the one in the middle, you probably could have then gone a little bit closer so that it would be dramatically bigger than any, like the head that's in panel 4, the middle one. See the one at the bottom and off to the right in panel 4, right? I mean, obviously it's bigger. It's not dramatically bigger, right? Right. Which is, so again, what you're looking for. And then if you look at, like, again, your size and your scale of panel 3, the one in the top right and the one in the bottom left, those are kind of sort of about the same size. And then if you go to the bottom left and then look at the bottom right panel, yes, I get it. They're not exactly the same size, but it's not enough of a visual bounce to be sort of like overly interesting and or dramatic, right? So you want the eye to constantly be moving, because you're the director and you go, I want you to look at this. I want you to go here. I want you to do this. And so the only way you can accomplish that, Faye, is that you have to be forceful in what it is that you want people to look at. First off, in my mind, there should always be one thing on every page that even before I read anything, if I just turned the page and looked at it for the very first time, my eye would go bam to something, right? So on here, probably the something might be maybe panel 2, although it would for sure it would go to panel 2 with the person reacting at the top. If it was even closer, for sure I would go bam, because everything else is small in detail. So I like your bottom right panel that you've got a bit of a down shot. So again, I would continue to push yourself to do those kind of angles, because those are the ones that are going to make your pages really interesting. And instead of doing left-right drawings, which I know are easy, and I used to do them all the time. So, but anyway, is that it? Is that it?
That is it.
Okay. So Faye, here's what you're doing right on this. If you're inking your own stuff, you're not being overly repetitive with your pencils. I have seen artists, staggeringly so, that pencil and ink their own stuff. And if you saw their pencils, you would think that they were handing it off for somebody to ink. As a matter of fact, sometimes their pencils are so good, I don't even know why they ink it. It's like you could just Xerox it and darken it, and it's perfect. And then they ink themselves. And so those artists usually I go to and I say, hey, Fred, you can't really do a monthly book, can you? And like, no, I'm a bit slow. And I'm like, yeah, you know why you're slow? Because you're fucking drawing your page twice. You're drawing every page twice. So of course you're half as slow, because you got to do everything twice. Where I'm looking at this, and if you're going to be inking your own stuff, I don't know, at some point, Faye, this is enough. You know what you're going to do with your ink pen, right? You don't have to give yourself every single detail. Just go in there and do the drawing with the ink pen. Treat your ink and pen like it's a pencil. Done. And I don't mean in terms of scratching, but I'm saying if you can draw an eyeball with a pencil, why can't you draw an eyeball with an ink pen? The answer is you can. You can. So, okay. So when I used to rough out for myself, I was literally just giving myself really blobby guidelines. And then I was doing most of the drawing with my ink pen. I was just going, oh, okay, that arm needs some muscles, and the hand, which was just basically a little square, needs 4 fingers and a thumb, right? I didn't draw 4 fingers and a thumb in my pencils. I just did little guidelines to say there's where his hand is. Done. I'll do it when I'm inking it. So if you can train yourself to be this loose and then go straight into inking, then you're going to be fairly fast. So that and fast is going to matter. We live in a deadline driven business, so getting pages done is very, very, very valuable. So anyways, good luck to you, Faye. Thanks for showing me your stuff today.
Thank you for critiquing it.
Yeah. Do you have any questions before I let you go?
Well, you answered most of it, because my main one was about readability, which you pretty much answered, that I need to vary my shots more.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the only other thing I would say too is like all of your panels, which is all my panels, for the most part, are like up and down, right? So they're squares or rectangles or whatever else, right? And the more times you can take your camera and just slightly turn it so that the lines within that rectangle, that square, are not parallel to either the top or the bottom or the sides of that panel, the better. So if you look at, let's say, panel 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I don't know, it looks like 5. Maybe it's in the middle of the page there, where it looks like somebody's sitting on a bed, right? So you have a panel, but then the windows are kind of parallel to the edge, and the end table is parallel to the edge, right? And then the line for the wall where the bed's at and where the window's at, that's kind of parallel. And then the edge of the bed, the foot of the bed, that's parallel. And then you've got a parallel line there, right? Just sometimes all you got to do is take that exact same drawing and just tilt it 10 degrees, and it changes everything. It changes everything. So.
Thank you so much for coming up, Faye.
Thank you.
Really awesome
Thank you
art.
for the critique.
I gotta plug myself in because I'm gonna die here. Hold on. Let me go find my plug.
All right. Well, Todd's plugging in. We're gonna go on to the next artist. I see Zarjan. I don't know how to pronounce it, but please, if you are one of the artists getting your portfolio reviewed tonight, you should have been contacted. Raise your hand so I can invite you up. There's quite a few people in the audience. Thank you, Zarjan.
Okay, Rem, give me 20 seconds. I gotta go downstairs, grab my cord.
No worries. What's going on, Zarjan?
Hey, all is good, man. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right, sounds good, man.
You want to introduce yourself maybe real quick to the community while we're waiting on Todd?
Yeah, sure. I'm pretty much I don't know if I'd be necessarily a freelance illustrator. I just kind of do this for fun. Went to school for art. It didn't really lead to a career path immediately right after that. Graduated in 2012, but it wasn't until I'd say 2019 that I started taking it a little bit more serious. And from there, I just kind of saw the progression. You know, it was kind of like, okay, let me lean into this a little bit more, and you know, I'm just having fun with it. And just the fact that you guys have this going on Discord is massive. So thank you again for having us on here. Super cool.
Absolutely, man. And what was your name again?
It's funny. My artist alias is Zorjan, but my real name is Leroy. So you can call me Leroy.
Okay, perfect. Nice to meet you, Leroy.
Nice to meet you too.
All right. Is it? Let me ask you. Is your art showing up right now?
It's loading. It says stream paused.
Stream paused. That's not good.
All right, I'm back, Rem.
Welcome back.
Hey Todd, how's it going?
Hey, how you doing?
Very good, very good. I was letting Zorjan. I was letting Remdog know that my artist alias is Zorjan, but my real name is Leroy, so you can just call me Leroy.
Leroy,
Yeah.
George. I'll call you Leroy.
Yeah.
Todd, are you able to see his art?
I do not.
Don't.
Yeah, it still says stream paused on my side as well.
Okay, let me read.
So while he's doing that, Leroy,
Yeah.
otherwise known as Leroy, as the comment I made to Faye, let's just continue it just a little bit.
Sure.
Like if you've got Superman and he's flying in the sky, you don't have to necessarily. Depends what you want to do for storytelling. But if you want to say he's flying in the city, you don't have to actually have like 1 million buildings or whatever else. You can just put a little bit of buildings down in one corner, right?
Right.
But I would not only would I only put like a little bit of buildings down the corner, so it says he's sort of near civilization. So you give that little piece of information. But if you then tilt the buildings so that they're not going up and down, then it just feels like the camera is like sort of below Superman or whoever's flying or whatever. And you just get a little more drama to the thing. So it just doing all the same drawing, just being aware of your angles. And the more times you can have stuff at angles that are counter to the square edges of your panels, then the better it is. Oh, by the way, you also don't have to make every panel be square, right? Which is why when I was doing explosions and or people getting slugged or whatever, I would do these sort of crazy angled panels and whatever else, because it just adds a sense of graphic design to it, and it gets away from the mundane of everything always being a square panel. So even the choice of how you do your panels and whatever else. I mean, we've got a book coming out, Kingspawn number 26. Oh man, I'm going to lose the number. I think it's 26. And Javi Fernandez, who's the artist of it, he's brilliant. He was going to a convention. So it's like, he's like, oh man, I don't know if I can do any pages. I'm like, dude, can you give me 10 pages? I'll make it easy on you. Right. And so he's going to be falling because he just went through a portal. So he's going to be falling. You can have the first half. And he's just falling. And for the most part, he's falling through white. Right. So he's sort of in his own head and he's having these weird sort of mind games. Do whatever you want and put as much white on each one of those pages as you want, Javi, right? To be able to just get half a book. so that it doesn't go that you don't have your name in the book, right?
Mhm.
And so when issue 26 comes out, then some of you out there that are artists, like, take a look at what Javi did. He took that little bit of direction of just going, have fun, don't draw too much because I'm going to make it easy on you because you're going on vacation, but make it interesting. Given that, here's the task: make it interesting. Given that I just told you most of it's going to be a white background. Go, and so he came out with some really cool stuff, right? For and some of it is just tiling and designing and graphic stuff and whatever. It turned out cool, right? But this is it. This is what happens once you've been doing it for a while. You come up with ways to entertain the reader, the consumer, even though we were both deadline driven, because I knew he didn't have enough time and he knew he didn't have enough time, but we wanted to make it look cool, right? So look at those 10 pages and go, man, I think most people are going to go, man, those are cool. And we're going to say, man, we were on a tight deadline, we were cheating. But it doesn't, as long as it doesn't look like a cheat, it looks entertaining, then that's okay. It's okay. I've got on Gunslinger, my artist got a couple days behind. I went, don't worry about it. I got lots of tricks in my bag. And so I gave him a couple tricks and I gave him a couple pages I knew would be super easy to draw. And he caught up real quick, right? Like bam, 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 which is why I don't plot way in advance, because I sometimes life gets in the way of my creative people, my artists, and I got to be able to accommodate them. If they get sick for 2 days, I got to be able to make up 2 days. So it's like, oh, okay, now we're going to have a lot of black on this page, or we're going to have a lot of white on this page.
Exactly.
It can be a close-up of an eyeball for 4 panels, and then blood's going to drip down or whatever. Anyways, on to your stuff. Here we go.
Cool.
Leroy, forgive me if I'm wrong, but this is the only piece you submitted, correct?
There was this one, and then there was 2 more that I had actually sent to Jake via email. I don't know if he was able to download those 2.
Oh, I was not able to get those from Jake, so this is the only one we have.
Oh, okay. That's all right.
Okay.
So you text Jake. He's downstairs. He's eating dinner while I'm doing this. Like,
I'll text him right now.
He came over to the house to have dinner, and then it was like, oh, Dad, now dinner's on the table. You need to go upstairs and do the portfolio review. And he's filling his gullet right now. Well, my dinner's getting cold. He's putting it on. I go, nice play. Well played, Jake. So, okay, let's look at this one here.
Cool.
So, question. So you did pencils, inks, colors, or no?
Correct. Yeah, everything.
Okay. Got it. Okay. So first off, just at first blush, really nice page, right?
Thank you.
Really nice page. I like it. So take that, put that off to the side. It's really good. And so sometimes when I sort of start giving the constructive criticism, I'm hoping that I'm not like sort of defeating people, because it's like, no. Like on a scale of 1 to 10, it's an 8, but let's just talk about like some of the stuff that could make it a 9, right? For sure. And that's true for some of the other people I was talking to. Because what the goal should be is to constantly be getting better and better and better. So, so I see it. So let's just talk about composition first, right?
Sure.
Okay. So the composition here, given that it's a fairly simplistic thing, which is cool, badass shot of Spawn looking at me, cool, right? All right. So here's what you did, I think, right. I like it when Spawn's head is taller than the back of his cowl. And the reason is because it gives the character, and I'm not just talking about Spawn, I'm talking about like almost anybody that's got a cape, but especially somebody's got a cowl. It makes him feel grander if his head is above the cowl, because if you, and I've seen it before, if you put the head lower than the cowl, it almost seems like he's shirking and he's sort of shrugging his shoulders. He's like, it diminishes his stature. He feels like a king or somebody that is in charge in this pose that you've given him, right? So that's it. Then you've got the cowl going up. And here's sometimes where people sort of miss it. I could be a little finicky, and I'll point it out to you a little bit, but it's minute. But people make this mistake on a big scale. And just so you know, I was at the Call of Duty dev team headquarters because Spawn just came out in their recent Battle Pass release.
Oh yeah.
And they were showing me photos of stuff, and I was pointing out the stuff that I'm going to point out to you on their stuff. And I was going, and then once they saw it, they were like, "Oh man."
Exactly. Right? It's part of it. Yeah.
So here's a good thing. It gets tough when you got like moon that's coming behind it. So what you do, you got the moon coming up behind the shoulder, and it's coming up, and you're cutting it behind the cowl, and then it's coming up on the other side of the shoulder. So I quickly can see, oddly, although there's not much of it, I quickly see there's a moon behind, right? Like, good for you, because that could go wrong. Again, the tough part of that, because sometimes people put a moon and it looks like, now let's talk about what I call tangent lines. And tangent lines done wrong, like, I just can't take my eyes off them. Now, you don't have any bad tangent lines here, but you have a couple minor ones. But let's just talk about your minor ones so that you don't ever get into a major one. And a tangent line essentially means that one thing ends and somehow it's touching another object, and those two lines are so close that my eye wants to sort of glue the two of them together, right? Mm-hmm. And so I've seen like hands touching the edge of a moon or a planet, even though the planet's supposed to be 1 million miles away. The guy's standing there, but his hand is there, but it's literally touching the planet that's in the background. And it feels like now he's holding a ball, right? Because to me, I'm like connecting them. Now, I lost your image here, Rem. You lost the image again.
Yeah, I can't see it either.
Oh, man. So, but on Spawn's right shoulder.
Is it back?
Not yet.
It's not there. You can't see it. What?
But on his right shoulder, where the moon is coming up and arcing up a little bit, you could have given it just a little bit more gap because that tip is touching his shoulder.
I see.
And so there's no space there, right? And so there's a tendency then to my eye, to always then want to attach those two things. Why? Because there's a connecting point between those two things, right? That's there. You did it in the. So I don't know if anybody got the mouse there, but if you go to the moon on the left side and see how it's touching just the tip of that.
Oh, I see that. Yeah,
right in the middle, right there. The cape and the moon. The cape and the moon, right? Right. It's in the middle of that moon. In the middle of the moon. We've got the hand.
Right here. Where do you want me?
I want to go to that moon sliver that you were just over on.
Right here.
Yeah, go in the middle of it and go right where the moon is touching the point of the cape. Up, right there. Right there. Now, again, when we go close, I can see there's some separate, but it's not enough because watch what happens when you go small now. Reduce it. It looks like it's touching it.
Exactly. I see it.
Right? So what you want to do is like what you did on the cowl on the other side, you want to cut into it, right? So you've got a point there and it's cutting into it. Although see right below the first one, see you got another tangent there, right there, right there, right? And you're going, oh man.
Yeah.
Oh, man. So again, I'm super anal about this stuff, but sometimes those are minor discretions. You just wait till you see big ones, right? That you that you just go, what? I can't separate the two things. So all you need to do on those things there is either just flatten the cowl just a little bit, right? Or make the moon a little bit skinnier on either side or whatever. I mean, it's an easy fix, right?
Yeah.
Just give a little bit of the color so it stands out. Like when you look at on the right side of the page, his shoulder where it's like the black bats or whatever they are flying. Mm-hmm. Like you gave just enough room between the point and the black bats right there. Now go literally parallel right there. You gave enough of a break that I don't see him touching those bats.
Yeah.
But if you've gotten even like an eighth of an inch over, then all of a sudden it would look like he's growing some black barbed wire out of his shoulder or something, right? So again, I know it's silly stuff, but again, once you start paying attention to it, then you just do it automatically, and you go,
exactly.
Oh, I can't put that there. Oop, I can't put that there. Oops, I can't put that there. I can't have a guy standing there and have the building behind him go parallel with his arm because his arm's parallel. I can't do it because it looks like the building's literally running into his body. So instead of the building feeling like it's a half a mile behind him, it now feels like it literally is glued to his back, right? So the other side of the cowl on the left side that goes, you've done what he does. He's got this big cowl and it flips over on each other, right? But you flipped it and you made the twist right in the middle of the black. I don't know if you can see it with your bats. Like go up there, up.
Oh, up
right
there. Oh,
right
okay.
there.
Okay.
See that twist? Yeah. And because you got a twist and there's a black, to me, it's like now those two pieces it's like a broken cow.
It's separated. Yeah.
It's separate. Obviously, if there was no bats behind there, then that wouldn't be true because I would see it. It's just that then put the twist lower before you get into the black of the bat.
Okay.
Right? And then my eye's not gonna see a break. That's in there. Again, it's minor. Don't worry about it. The other piece of it, if we go just a little bit smaller, is and again, this is just composition. So you've got a guy standing there and he's got a cowl and he's got a big cape. I would have clipped both of the cowls so they were not nearly as tall for two reasons. One, it allows color to come up above it so that you frame the character a lot. And then two, because especially the one on the right, because it's so fat, has it sort of bleeding off, although I know there's a little tick there. But to my eye, it's sort of shooting off the top of the page, right? What it does then to me a little bit, for somebody who doesn't necessarily know this character, is that it can then feel like an extension of the cape. Because the capes are all going off panel and are big, long swoops. And you got a big, long swoop here. And if you would just cut that so that I could see literally the top of it and it didn't bleed off, literally on both sides, right? I mean, like the one on the left where I said it looked broken, right? Yeah. Put your thumb over the broken piece that's at the top and just go, what if I had just clipped it where I basically did the first twist?
Yep, I see it.
Right? Then all of a sudden you just go, oh, there's the head, I've got the cowl, and then I've got this big long cape. Cool, right? And then you could have then just sort of cropped and clipped the cowl on the other side and you would have got it. Cool. All right.
For sure.
Capes in general. So not just Spawn capes, anybody's capes in general.
Yeah.
I like the bulkiness and the bigness of it. Here's where I'm not a big fan of is that the cape feels like after I comb my hair, like it's been combed and it's got these nice, polite, long lines and there's a bunch of lines and there's no, remember I was talking about earlier, if you were around with the other people, that you got big, medium, and small, right? The only big I would argue here is in the cowl, right? For as big as this cape is, you've put so many lines in it that it's all wrinkled about the same. Sort of like when you pull curtains tight, right?
Yeah.
That they all become about the same. They're about the same distance. Where if you had gone one of these places, and again, if I was doing it and people could see me, I'd go, what if you wiped out these three lines here? It makes a big red space, right? And it's different than the space that's now an inch to the left of it or an inch to the right of it. So because you got the big swoops going down on the bottom right, and then you've got the wrinkles where his hand is on the left. and then you've got like some of those same lines on the shoulders, right? So you're everything is just going and folding at the same rate. I don't do that, right? Just make it flip up and over on each other, and don't be so polite that like there's starch in that cape. Make it more like a flag blown in the wind, that it can go in all these different kinds of directions.
Right.
I was also able to get the other two pieces from Jake. So if you want to take a quick look at those.
Perfect.
Okay. The anatomy wise, you got really good anatomy.
Thank you.
I would say, and it's a mistake that we do sometimes when we sculpt toys, we draw that you can sort of take the foot off the brake a little bit when you get into the abs and the six pack. Right?
Yeah, that's a tendency of mine, just to kind of go overboard with it. It looks cool, but I mean, I get it. I can see it. I see it.
But if you look at, it's odd because if you actually look at like bodybuilders, they actually don't have that checkered board. It actually is more wavier than that, right? And so all you have to do is just take a little bit of the, basically each one of those is completely formed, right? All you have to do is just open some of those lines a little bit, so that let the imagination and let some of the color fill it in. Don't make it so easy for my eye. Let my eye do some of the imagining that's there.
There you go.
So,
yeah.
I like the green glow that you did on the eyes too. So
Thank you.
You didn't go overboard on it. So nice.
Thank you.
Okay. All right.
These are the two.
Yep.
There you go. Okay. So this I'm trying to think. Might have been Jordan, the very first guy. I look at the drawing. I see the big head, and I got the wave, and I got the pretty lady, and I got the guy on the side. You know, a little reminiscent of Turner when he was alive. Kind of cool. So I like it. I like the composition. The color takes away from, I think, a wonderful drawing and wonderful composition. Because if you go small on this thing, then you've got a lot of purples and blues, and they're kind of sort of in the same range, and you're not, those two people in the front are not getting pushed away from the back, right? Because the color that's in the ocean, that's, let's say, right off to the right of her breast there, and the sky, it's all kind of about the same. And then the highlights in her hair are kind of the same. Like, I make those two people in the front just pop, right? Again, this is that, look at it at 2 inches and go, do I see it? Do I see it? Do I see it? And like, there's actually, if people who are listening in the crowd, they're actually there's a woman doing some surfing down at the very bottom. I'm betting that at first crack, nobody saw it, or might not have even seen it until I just said so. But there's something down there, because that body is sort of colored kind of the same as her hand, and a little bit of that man's chest, and so it gets lost. That figure got lost there, right?
Yeah.
And so the question is, did you have to go a little bit dark with the water so that you would frame the body, or did you have to get a little bit dark on the big woman's abs, so that then that woman's surfing would pop, right? Something has to happen for me to be able to see that, because it's a nice drawing. I mean, I can see it's a nice drawing, and it's a shame that it gets lost, right? And it gets lost only for one reason. The values of the colors are not given any priority to anything. So you just got to figure out how to separate stuff and how to create some contrast between some of the shapes that are in there. No.
Yeah,
and
I see it.
And I think the same thing here. The next one, is the same thing here. You got, like, you're giving her highlights with all this yellow, but then in the background is all the yellow, and it diminishes her. And then even some of the highlights in the back have purple in them, right? Here's what I would do. Here's what I would do with this page. I know if I got this, and I was gonna, because I actually do this with my covers sometimes. I give it to my production guy, and I go, hey, I need you to cut that out, and then I slide the value of the colors in the background so that there's no purple on the background. So the only purple is her. Right?
Okay.
And all of a sudden, bam. Like, so when you do that slide in Photoshop, you just keep going, okay, do I want it to be more bluish or greenish or orangish or what? But you get it to, you go, whatever it is, I want to get it so that there's nothing there that's competing with her colors of her. Because why? She looks like she's at least a block away from those buildings. So why is she being hit with the exact same color palette, right? She can have some, I get some, but her color palette to me is purple, pinkish, and a little bit of yellow. And the background is kind of the same, pink, purples, and then a little bit of blue up by where her hand is. Okay, fine, right? But not enough that figure should just jump at me, right? Because if it doesn't work, sometimes what I've done is I go into production, I go eliminate the background, make it pure white. And if I made that background pure white, that cover may actually be way more striking.
I see that.
Yeah. Going back to the Spawn one last comment on the Spawn pinup. If you were to do this for a cover, here's what would be a little bit difficult for me. Is that I've got to put a logo on it, right? And so either you could have taken this entire drawing and moved it down. I don't need that much cape down below, right? Like scooched it down. You could have cropped it a little bit tighter to the chains down there and given me a little bit more bat and sky. And then I could have put the logo up above it. Because now if I put a logo up above him, it's going to kind of feel like it's on top of his head, right? And I'm going to be having to sort of cover up some of your moon. So maybe the best place I could put it is maybe down low in the red cape, which is probably where I'd put it. But I'm not a big fan of putting logos low if I don't have to, because sometimes when you go into a store, they rack their books so that you don't get to see the entire cover. You only get the top half. And if you've got the logo at the bottom, then there's no logo. And people are like, what is that? I don't even know. What am I buying? There's no name.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, there's a practical reason. So, but
no, I see it.
Yeah. But, and the kneecap there, like, again, I'd take some of the lines off the kneecap. That shadow underneath the kneecap is pretty aggressive, given that the body just sort of flows, right? So I don't know, be casting a shadow that deeply, like underneath his neck. See the shadow you got underneath his neck?
Yeah.
You're essentially given the same shadow underneath his knee, right? So,
yeah.
But I know that a head is 6 inches stuck out. That's why it causes a shadow. A knee doesn't do that. So, anyways, but cool stuff. All right,
thank you,
Leroy. Appreciate it.
All right, Todd. Thank you so much for having us. This is great.
Yeah, cool. Is that it, Rum, or is there one more?
We got one more person. The fifth person we picked did not show up tonight. So last person of the night, come on up, Francesco. Welcome to the stage.
Hello, everyone.
How are you doing, Francisco?
All right. Everything goes all right. And you?
Good. Great.
Oh,
I beat you today. You're only all right. I'm great today. I win. I'm competitive. I win today. So.
Okay.
All right. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Right. That's not my artwork.
That's not yours?
Yes, that's mine.
My apologies.
All right. Cool. Okay. Well, let's just start with this one. So here, this is I like this page because there's a bit of a graphic design to it. That top page got all the black, so it's sort of framing the other three panels, which is nice. Whatever the light things are that are coming off it, they're going at perspectives so that you're getting this sort of cool sort of cone effect, which again adds to 3D element. The explosion in the ship is covering a portion of the ship. So again, it gives a nice sense of, the explosion is in front of the ship as a whole. And then you go down to the next one and it looks like the ship is going to crash land on Earth or someplace. So we saw the ship, here's the thing where I was talking to a couple of the other people earlier. Look how big that ship is compared to all the other 3 panels, right? I mean, the ship is the thing that's catching my eye, and hopefully it catches the audience's eye. And then you go down and you go, now you can go really small. So you went to me big, and you went really small, and you went on a profile, and the little ship now looks like it's hitting the ground and dragging. And then it crashes through. He moved the camera now behind the ship because it's going through the field. So he's got panel 1 is a bit of a down shot, panel 2 is a side shot, panel 3 is behind, and panel 4 is a complete down shot, a bird's eye view. So those are 4 dramatically different camera angles to basically show the same thing. So storytelling wise, this is very smart. And even though there's some small stuff in there, I'm not confused on any of it. The only thing possibly is that maybe in panel 3, because I'm coming from behind, I would have made the trail a little more of a V, so it was a little fatter at the bottom and then sort of tapered off. So it felt like it was going further into the distance. But again, that's easily remedied. But this, and then you've got the tracks that are going over it. So nice job on this page. So as we talk about variety, so if you look at the bottom 2 panels, this is what I'm sort of talking about. Like you got a profile of a guy. He's even cut most of his head off on the left side, and he got a hand. And then panel next to it is like super tiny, and he's trying to rescue somebody or whatever. Like the size of those 2 panels are so different that it's interesting because you get these cuts like a movie cut. Panel 3 where you got a down shot of him up on the roof, right? Again, all of these looks like somebody's on a roof, and yet there's nothing that feels repetitive, even though he's on the roof a lot. And then remember we were talking about earlier about like you take your lines, don't let them be parallel. Look what he did with the roof lines on panel 3. This is that tilt. All he had to do was tilt them. And the reason that's smart, because then it doesn't feel exactly the same as the lines that are in the last panel. So those are kind of going left to right, and the other one's going tilted. But even the ones in the bottom, there's enough angles in there in the chimney and the edge of the roof and the 2 people that I don't feel like I'm competing with the edges of my panels. Panel 1, 2, 3, 4 is a nice panel. Panel 1 is really good. If I had to make one comment, I like the big giant hand in panel 2, so it's really cool. It's just that we have kind of 2 heads that are a little bit the same, and sometimes those are intentional because you go, I'm going to go from one angle to the other, but those heads are a little bit the same. Maybe there's a way to push one of them a little bit forward or make the hand a little bit bigger so it obscured the head a little bit. But this is a really good page. That's a really good page. So, and I like the drawing, the anatomy and stuff in there is nice. Again, yeah, there's again lots of nice angles here. I again, if you're looking at it, so panel 2, instantly somebody's falling and hitting something, but the whole horizon is tilted, right? So it gives you a different angle. And then if you look at the car at the bottom one, that's going at a different angle. So you've got to tilt one way, and then you've got the car tilted the other way. And even the horizon bottom panel is tilted ever so slightly. Cool. So that's all it takes sometimes. It's just, I mean, the buildings in the last panel in the background, there's a little bit of a tilt in the last panel, not the last page.
Oh,
The
okay, yes.
buildings right here are tilted ever so slightly, but then it looks like a little bit of a fisheye. So you like over tilted the car. I don't mind it because it's sort of cool, funky. And then you come in with on panel 1 again more of a perspective. So you've got your speed lines or whatever is happening behind the girl or the lady there. The fall is you've got lines going to the left, going down the middle, and then going to the right. It's fanning out, right? So it just seems like at first blush on this page, a lot of stuff is happening, and it's coming at different angles. And this is in black and white. So if somebody's really good at coloring, they're gonna really be able to make this panel sing, or this page sing a lot. So here it looks like a energy bolt or something like that. Something happening in panel 2, some hand energy bolt, and it's coming in.
Like a beam sword, energy sword.
Yeah, that's it. So you've got the 2 people, maybe panel 2, the 2 characters are sort of kind of about the exact same size, so nobody's closer or farther away from the camera. You probably could have played with that just a little bit, but then you come in on the last panel and you've got this one that's really close, and this is the Hollywood haircut. You cropped them at the top and you cropped them on the side. I mean, again, and you've got a small little body in the last panel. So there's a nice variety there between the 2 characters. So, I mean, the only thing here is in panel 1 and panel 3, maybe could have pushed the variety of those 3 bodies just a little bit. All you need to do, if you've got 3, all you need to do is push 1. And as long as it's in the middle of the other 2, then you don't have to do it for all 3 of them. But pretty solid page. There's another page there. Oh, right here. So you got it. So again, Faye, when I was saying you could go, I think, to close up on the boot. Like, look at the last panel here. You've got, a big hand crunching, grabbing something. It's pretty dramatic. There's no other hands that are even close to that size in this page. Cool. You've got then the panel in the bottom left is 2 full bodies. There are no other full bodies on this page. And then you've got sort of a middle, I'd almost call it like the bottom left is a far shot. The ones in the middle are medium shots. And then it looks like a little bit closer in the ones up top. And maybe you could have pushed it in a little bit more in the top one, create just a little bit more bounce between panel 1 and 2. But because again, the bad guy's head, the guy on the left side of both panel 1 and panel 2, the head side a little bit the same. The cloaked guy, he got big in panel 1 and then medium in panel 2 and small in panel 3. So there's a nice bounce on him. So maybe you could have played with that just a little bit, but I know something dramatic's happened in that last panel with that hand grabbing. So good. Okay. I mean, storytelling is, I would argue that storytelling is the hardest thing in comic books, not the drawing ability, the storytelling, the clarity of storytelling. So congrats to you, because there's some pretty strong storytelling here for sure. Go ahead.
That's it for this portfolio.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Do you have any questions, Francisco? Or are we calling late?
No, I don't think. I'm trying to get into the industry as a freelancer for now. Like some freelance work on internet, Facebook, and etc. Yeah.
So no, I see a lot of nice inking, a lot of nice drawing, and some really good storytelling. So you're for sure, you're getting close for sure, right? You're not that far away. So
okay, thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you for coming up, Francisco. And that wraps up the portfolios for this evening. Thank you, Todd, for your time.
Sure. So hopefully some of the other artists out there caught a few tips. And if not, if you guys want to enter your artwork next time, then I can go over yours, right? We'll talk about the good, the bad, and different. But anyways, any aspiring artists out there, colorists, figures, whatever, good luck to you. Hopefully, there's one or two things there that might make sense to you in your artwork, and we'll circle around next time on the next portfolio. So.
Sounds good. Thanks, Todd. Thanks, everyone, for coming out tonight. The portfolio review will be uploaded to the Odd Key YouTube channel if you missed some of it. And thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
All right. Be good.